What follows is one of the more piss-poor attempts at a so-called debunking of one of my videos. As you watch him play bits of my video and then pause to interject every so often, take note of how little of my actual content he addresses, and how much of it he ignored. I thought I'd take this opportunity to reveal just how profoundly ignorant and dishonest a dog defender can actually—
So much fucking irony in the first few seconds. By addressing, he means making shitty-ass excuses, and you're gonna see that very soon.
Dog defense tells us that it's only how you raise them. Well, there's a major problem here, and it's easy to count this with the following. Dogs aren't human, so why are we raising them? Humans aren't raising dogs. We raise our own exclusively. We alone, unique among all the other living creatures on Earth, are products of institutional forces like educational systems and complex societal structures. A puppy is a dog's offspring, not human being, nor is it a legal personal system. No dog is wired to be raised by a bipedal dogs are lupine carnivores, basically effective and mutate wolves.
First of all, raising does not exclusively mean taking care of a human. It also means taking care of other living things, like plants, animals, etc.
I've never heard anyone say that they raised a houseplant. Notice that the example in your own screenshot refers to a human being raised by other humans.
See, folks? I told you so. That example literally does not change the fact that it means taking care of any living being, like plants, animals, etc. Heck, the words are still fucking there. So yeah, really grasping at straws there, buddy. Also, if you've never heard of people raising plants, then you obviously never been to a garden or a farm.
And secondly, that's just a shitty point, as it all just boils down to dogs are human, so it won't work.
Could you possibly sound more insufferable? Could you possibly be more dishonest? You have no idea how close I came to tuning out right there. Saying something with an incredulous or sarcastic tone is not a refutation. It doesn't make you factually correct. It's not an argument.
Engage in attacking the scarf instead?
Right, because everyone is always wearing a scarf, especially in the summer. And getting a scarf into a vicious dog's mouth is so easy, because dogs just love biting onto scarves, and vastly prefer that to something made of flesh.
Oh boy, more irony. Oh boy, I'm gonna end up saying that a lot. Like, dude, you don't bother doing any research on dogs and would rather make assumptions on them. I at least show studies that prove my point, which you don't even bother to do most of the time. And when you do, you either use a study that's complete crap, or you don't bother looking into them. And yet you have the audacity to say I'm dishonest? How insufferable. Oh, and speaking of insufferable, all your AI voices that make you sound smart makes you sound like a complete douche, and makes me want to punch a wall.
May as well hype yourself up with laughing emojis in a comment at the end of a sentence, as if your use of them gives your arguments weight.
So, kinda like you, basically.
Just because you can't tell the differences between dogs and humans, and there are so many, does not mean you should feel justified to so egregiously mischaracterize my videos.
So apparently me calling out your dogs aren't humans, so why are you quote raising them point means I can't tell the difference between dogs and humans? That's fucking stupid. Especially when I said raising means taking care of any living being. So does that mean I can't tell the difference between a guy and a sunflower? Like, wow, the assumptions never end. Oh, I didn't mischaracterize your video. It just shows that your video is full of shit.
Now, before moving further, notice what a small percentage of my words you actually addressed. You completely ignored the bulk of what I was saying, and a lot of what I say in this video is building off previous statements. You obviously cannot follow a simple train of thought.
Oh, shut up. I did not ignore the bulk of your garbage. All I did was cut out the filler and irrelevant stuff, so I could focus on the two main points. And no, they don't build off of each other, because like I said before, it's either irrelevant or filler. Not to mention, the stuff I cut out is just repeated junk that I talked about in that video.
Which I'll explain why it's wrong throughout the video.
What advice? You're an idiot.
Well, you know what they say, it takes one to know one.
Such dogs act in accordance with their internal instincts, not how we bring them up. You can't impart dictation on a dog. You can't teach dog values. Dogs are capable of expression and communication. They don't understand people have different personalities. They don't understand that humans have jobs, and they have no idea about our social expectations. Even the simplest and most basic social norms completely elude these beasts.
Yes, you can impart education on a dog.
No, you really can't. Don't you dare say that training is the same as education.
Spoiler alert, I do say this. And to be fair, it was a bit of a stretch to say training and education are the same. But training is about learning. So that doesn't mean dogs are devoid of learning.
Now, when has a dog ever been capable of enlightenment? Dogs may live in the moment, but they are not enlightened. When's the last time a dog was sent off to grammar school? When's the last time a dog understood anything beyond a monosyllabic word or two, which is associated with food? When's the last time a dog graduated from college? When is the last time a dog so much as understood a full sentence? Dogs don't have the cognitive skills to absorb education, Copernicus. You can deny it all you want, and redefine words until the end of time, but it doesn't make the statement any less accurate.
Hot dog, are you on a roll with describing yourself? Oh, when is the dog ever enlightened? I find it adorable how you use that definition when there's another definition, which is information about or training in a particular field or subject. Sounds a bit familiar, don't you think? Also, dogs don't just understand 1 or 2 words, they can understand up to more than 100 words. Also, dogs have listened plenty of times without any food. When's the last time a dog graduated from college? You're gonna be upset with the answer. Dogs don't have the cognitive skills to absorb education, my ass. You know what it's called? It's called training!
As I have said before, dogs are not capable of abstraction. They do not receive a formal education, where they are taught how to think as we are. Dogs are reactive creatures, and they are highly instinct-driven. Training is not the same as education, not even close. When a child is educated, they aren't simply manipulated into behaving a certain way. They are taught how to think and reason, and they can even come to learn the purpose of education. A dog will never understand why it is being conditioned through positive or negative reinforcement. A dog will never contribute to human culture, and will never impart knowledge on another dog.
Dogs not receiving a form of education is wrong, since dogs learn skills through training, and learning skills is a form of education. And them being instinct-driven and reactive does not change anything, considering they're still able to go through training. Also, if dogs don't understand why they're being conditioned through negative and positive enforcements, then how come they go through with them? It's simple, because they do understand, dumbass. Also, dogs not contributing to human culture and dogs not getting knowledge from other dogs are also fucking wrong.
Teaching dogs value? Also training.
Values relate to beliefs. Dogs don't have beliefs. Dogs run on instinct.
No, dude. Values don't always mean beliefs. Values are principles that you would consider to be important or worth living for. There are things you can teach a dog. Also, I just loved how you just blatantly ignored my evidence.
Oh, and yes, dogs can definitely understand people have different personalities, considering they can sense their emotions.
If dogs could actually sense emotions, they wouldn't be attacking letter carriers and delivery workers left and right. They would be able to understand who is and is not a threat. But obviously they don't, as evidenced by everyday, real-world dog-originated violence and hostility. Of course, this assumes that dogs attack the way they do, because they feel threatened when they attack. There is no evidence that this is the case either. If dogs could actually read people as well as some nutters believe, then they would stay the hell away from people such as myself who want nothing to do with them. Yet they still beg dog haters for food, and attack people who actually like dogs. Before one of you nutters tries to tell me dogs attack me because they sense my hatred of them, that is disproved by the fact that many dogs don't attack me.
Ah, well, good for you. Kinda contradicts your point, but hey, good for you. The reason why a dog may attack a mail carrier is because they're being territorial and trying to protect their owners. And through the dog's perspective, they are trespassing on property. To them, letter carriers are complete strangers, since they're unfamiliar with them. And them sensing emotions does not automatically mean they will know a person at first sight that they don't know very well of. Also, if they don't, then how come a lot more dogs don't harm people on walks?
Dogs have no idea what people think, and they will attack people who are in a great mood and ignore people who are in distress.
Okay, now that's just a blatant fucking lie, as there have been plenty of dogs that have helped people in distress. And on the dogs attacking people in great moods, a lot of dogs don't fucking do that.
Dogs clearly cannot tell when their aggressive advances are being rebuffed. A prime example of this would be that hideous loose mutant that invaded the Broken Arrow police officer's vehicle and yard. The reason he kept trying to deter it, pepper spraying it and so forth, is because the neurotic miscreant kept pestering him. It kept staying in his personal space, running circles around his car and all the rest of it.
So for research purposes, I decided to look this up. And I found a video where you're being a dog abuse apologist.
This case cannot be viewed in isolation. For starters, one's dog shouldn't be on the loose where it can harass others in the first place. Many people don't want dogs of any kind to approach them for any reason, and that should be understood and respected. The dog busted into his yard while his two very young daughters were there, and a loose dog is definitely a safety concern in that scenario. Dogs aren't angels, and in particular they have prey drive triggers that cause them to view children and small animals as things to attack without provocation. The thing also jumped into his vehicle uninvited. It is obvious to me that this officer was just trying to get the dog away from himself, his children, and his property. The dog is an invader.
Yeah, I do agree that you shouldn't let your dogs go loose. But what the officer did was still pretty fucking bad. The dog was not showing any sign of aggression at all. Also, if you actually watch the video, you can clearly see the dog was running in circles to get away from the officer. So where the fuck are his daughters? Like in the original videos, you do not see them at all. And if they were there, then how come the video never mentions them? So could this mean you were lying? Oh, you could never, right? Right?
If dogs can sense emotions, and if they are loving entities as you nutters insist, then why the hell don't they stop mauling a child after sensing their pain and agony, their sheer terror and fright? Obviously, there are only a few options. Either they can't at all, or they can, but they are indifferent to it. Or perhaps they enjoy our suffering. Dogs are literal child predators after all.
No, there are not just two answers. The dogs that do that are untrained, undisciplined, unsocialized, mistreated, or a combination of all. Because a majority of dogs don't do that.
Also, dogs being unable to do verbal communication is a shitty point because they can communicate in other ways. Like expressions, noises, and whatnot.
Behold, the sophistication of dog communication.
So apparently because dogs bark, I'm wrong. Dude, the fucking dog is communicating with barks. Like, it doesn't take a scientist to realize that. But they mostly just bark at nothing. That's not true. Dogs can sense through walls and through far distances. Even then, that doesn't change the fact that it's literally communicating. Tell me, did someone jam a screwdriver in your frontal lobe?
Also, dogs having no idea about social norms is also wrong since they have skills that allow them to learn their environment.
What does that even mean? Learn their environment. That is basically word salad. Dogs have no emotional intelligence. They have no social skills at all. To say they have intelligence at all is a stretch. All you have to do is observe the way they shove their noses everywhere they shouldn't, eat tons of things they definitely shouldn't, hump every living or non-living object in sight, and start mindless fights with each other at the drop of a hat. The way they mindlessly bark at anything that comes within 30 meters of their godforsaken enclosures, which is their nutter owner's shit-infested backyard.
Really, clown? You don't understand what learn their environment even means? Means learning their surroundings. Well, at least it's nice to know that you're starting to admit that you don't know shit. Also, dogs having no social skills is a complete fucking lie, as dogs have shown to interact and play with each other without the intention of harming the other. Dogs having no emotional intelligence, also fucking wrong. Also, the reason they may sniff everywhere is because they're trying to understand their environment. But then again, that's probably too much for a smooth brain. Also, eating toxic things is not exclusive to dogs.
So the reason they say this is because it doesn't mean taking care of humans exclusively, rather taking care of living beings, as I said before.
Get this through your head. Raising a child into an adult is nothing like owning a dog, or any pet animal. There are minor similarities between the two, but they are very surface level. Actually, bringing up a person is not remotely comparable to keeping a beast trapped in your home, giving it food, restricting its natural behavior, and taking it outside a couple times a day.
I'm sorry, did I ever say it was the same thing? No, I fucking didn't. All I ever said was, raising does not mean taking care of humans exclusively. Did not meant raising humans and pets are the same. Like, come on, dude. Your assumptions are just getting worse and worse.
While training canine dogs, well-trained dogs are increasingly rare these days. The point is, Luke, not to mention, if you were to ask what a dog knows that their dog is trained, they would probably say yes, regardless of the reality. Even if their dog has sent a person to the hospital or killed animals, they would still tell you that their dog is well-behaved and just the sweetest thing ever.
Saying well-trained dogs are increasingly rare is a funny thing to say, considering most don't even harm people.
Having lived in multiple cities and several neighborhoods, I have seen what dogs are like in the real world. And maybe you aren't paying attention, or noticing the things many of us are noticing. But it is increasingly rare to see dogs with leash manners. It is increasingly common for neighborhoods to be pervaded by the uninviting cacophony of barking dogs, which is all you hear anywhere these days. Dog owners obviously aren't bothering to train dogs these days. This claim that most dogs don't harm people is first and foremost factually incorrect.
Yeah, no. Statistics don't agree with you. And again, if dog owners aren't bothering training their dogs, then how come more dogs don't attack people? Oh, I've seen what dogs are truly like in the real world. And I have seen plenty of well-behaved dogs in the real world. Barking is all you ever hear these days. Boy, you sure do love projecting your miserable existence onto others.
You seem to be operating under the assumption that the only way dogs harm people is by directly attacking them, such as by biting. If that is indeed the case, you couldn't be more incorrect. I know you watch every video I put out, so you've definitely seen the breakdown of their negative environmental impacts, and all the ways they routinely wreck and disturb our peaceful existence, and reduce quality of life anywhere they proliferate.
Oh, they harm us by wrecking our peaceful existence and negatively impact the environment. Oh, stop with the excuses. Now look, I get that excessive barking can be detrimental, but other than that, barking is not that bad. Like, it mostly just ranges from people mildly getting annoyed by it, or not giving a shit about it at all. Oh, and on the whole, dogs being detrimental to the environment, literally the fucking owner's fault for not cleaning up the dog's mess. But if there were no dogs, there wouldn't be— Shut up! They bought the dog, they own the dog is their responsibility. Stop defending shit-ass owners.
Training has very little to do with whether dogs directly harm people or not. Get that through your head. Do you honestly believe every person who owns a dog is diligently training it and keeping up with it as well? Training is a constant thing that must be imposed on these mutants. It can be undone, and if it is not maintained, it may as well not be occurring. Do you believe it is even a majority, or even half the nutters out there, who are training their dogs at all? It is evident from lived experience that most dogs these days are never trained. Or perhaps it doesn't matter that they are, as they will still exhibit terrible behavior and aggression. Did you ever consider that possibility? Of course not.
Get this through your pebble-sized brain. It does have something to do whether dogs don't attack people or not. Literal studies of this, but yet you just love to ignore them. No, I don't think every person is training their dog. That doesn't mean training does not work. Also, if a dog manages to harm someone, you did not train it properly. Also, dogs are the easiest animals to train. So what do you think? And again, projecting your own miserable existence onto others.
And yes, it's somewhat true that there are some people who will say their dogs are well-trained, despite being the opposite, but that's more the owner's problem, because well-behaved and well-trained dogs do indeed exist. Also, nice of you to admit that training does have an impact on dogs.
In the very next clip you play, you prove how moot this statement is.
But let's make one thing clear. Training is no guarantee that the dog won't still attack someone, and it doesn't combat the environmental impact of dogs. Dog owners don't seem to be interested in addressing this problem.
This is evidence of your inability to follow a train of thought. You're trying to isolate portions of my argument, which are all connected. So let me do that again. Hopefully it will sink in this time.
No, that's not evidence. That's just you being a narcissistic douchebag. Like, come on, it's pretty fucking obvious that they're connected. But no, you decided to pretend to be all high and mighty. Anyway, like I said before, if your dog manages to attack someone, it wasn't properly trained at all. And also, like I said before, it is the owner's fucking fault for not cleaning up after their dog.
I'll bet you can't answer that question.
There's a huge difference between training an animal and raising a human infants into an adult, but the concepts are all inflated by dog owners.
What are you talking about? They're literally giving out a solution to make dogs well behaved.
What the fuck are you talking about? Those who harbour these vermin, and those who apologise and carry water for them and their enablers, are creating all sorts of problems. They are not giving anyone any solutions whatsoever.
Why the fuck you lying? Why always lying? Oh my god. Stop fucking lying. Also, I know the only reason you made this trash ass video is because your comment aged like milk. Good night, everyone.